Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Co-op Podcast, episode 195. I'm your host, Richard Bailey Jr., and today I'm joined by Mr. Gary A. Swaby. How's it going, Gary?
It's going good. Good to be back. It's a heavy news week because, we've got a lot to talk about this week, so that's good. It's going to be an interesting show.
Absolutely. We're also joined by Mr. Jake James Lugo. How's it going, Mr. Lugo?
I've been good, Rich. I've been busy, and like Gary said, there's a lot of news to kind of cover here, so I'll be brief.
Yes, absolutely. And we are joined by Mr. Max Muller. How's it going, Max?
It's going good. Happy to be back after having to miss last week. So good to be back and talk about news and everything again.
Absolutely. You will have to tell us about your vacation towards the end of the show because I know people want to hear about the gaming news. So, well, yeah, we'll come back to that. So, as we've already said, there is a lot to discuss this week, but we're going to let you all know what we have been playing. So, how about you go first, Mr. Lugo, and let us know what you've been playing?
So I've only been really playing one thing, and that's probably just going to be the one thing I focus on. I've been playing a lot of For Honor. Again, I've been helping build the IGN guide for the game, as well as also just going online and streaming the game when I can. I'm not doing the review for it here on the site, but I can say that the game is interesting. It's got a very complex fighting system, combat system. It's called the Art of Combat or the Art of Fighting. As far as like the name for how the gameplay flows and stuff. I've been spending a lot of time with it, and mostly for the multiplayer, not so much the single player. And I think I commented on it last week of the podcast before. But overall, if you want something that's different and you want something that you're going to enjoy with friends online, check it out either on PS4, Xbox One. I know a lot of people have been enjoying it on PC because on PC, apparently, it runs at a smooth 60 frames per second, which is pretty dope. I got a chance to check it out. It's pretty interesting. But so far, I'm enjoying it on PS4. But that's basically the bulk of what I've been playing.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about this game. I have to ask this question now. Do you think that this game is worth paying full price for, or should we wait till the price drops to pick it up?
I think most people should wait till it drops a little bit, maybe around to the $40 mark, if not less. Reason being is because the campaign's short. I feel like you're not going to get a lot out of the campaign. And if you're not really down with that competitive setting or down with a game that's kind of complex to learn, it has a really big barrier for entry or not, then maybe this isn't the game for you. But it does have a lot of interesting concepts. And if you spend time going through the tutorials and actually playing the game with buddies and really learning the combat system, you're going to get a lot out of it.
Okay. Well, I definitely will check it out. Yeah, thank you for letting us know how it is. I will wait until it's the price drop. There's way too many games that are out now that I need to finish, and then there's stuff coming out in March. But definitely we'll check it out when it's cheaper. So, Max, how about you let us know what you've been playing?
All right, I've actually been playing a lot this past week. I was playing usual Halo 5 and Rocket League, like all the time. Dark Souls 3, I'm trying to finish up. I haven't played it in months, and I finally ended up getting to the last boss, and he was kicking my ass. So now I'm just staying back and going and doing like optional bosses and just doing the rest of the content before going after him again. And then I started Banjo-Kazooie the other day. Weirdly, I had the urge to replay that game, so I've been playing it through Rare Replay. I was able to check out The Last Guardian, actually. I walked in, and my roommate was playing it. He had it at Christmas, and this is his first time playing it through. And I noticed all the technical difficulties everyone was talking about, but I think that Trico is absolutely beautiful. That thing is so well designed. It's interesting because it's going through the world and it doesn't clip through anything. Like it reacts to everything, even like little juts coming out of like walls and everything. It always like ducks its head right under those and like tilts it. I've never seen anything like that in a game. Everything is just so polished in regards to gameplay and movement. But then there's all the technical difficulties, which is kind of a shame. But I've never seen a game anything really like it. Like just sitting there waiting for this animal to react to you. It can be upwards of 5 minutes sometimes. From what I've seen when he was playing it, it was just really, really cool. And then lastly, I've been playing this game for this indie column I'm trying to start here at the Koalition called Glitched. And it's kind of like a Undertale Earthbound style game where you can try and go through the whole game, like avoiding combat and talking through your situations and everything. But this one's trying to be a bit different. Whereas the combat, there's no such thing as random encounters or anything. Each combat encounter is story based, so they're all kind of really important. And each interaction, be it if you kill someone or decide to spare them or just avoid fighting, can have drastic changes on the story. So there's all these different story arcs and everything, as well as this really interesting morality system of like 6 different wavelengths. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check that out on the Koalition in like a few days. I'm going to have my full thoughts on it, but it's another game that's kind of unlike anything I've played. It's just a blend of a lot of good traditional RPGs, but like with new kind of twists on them. And it's really cool. And it's being made by like 3 guys. Other than that, I think that's it for this week.
Hey, that sounds awesome. Well, I mean, everybody should know, definitely, absolutely should be checking out a lot of independent games. You know, I've said many times on this show, sometimes those games are better than some of the mainstream titles. Definitely deserve more attention. I know we're actually going to be seeing quite a bit of these games during GDC. I'll be at GDC in about a week and a half, and then PAX East. So definitely, look out for our thoughts down the road about some of these indie titles that we think were pretty good at both shows. But yeah, sounds like great games. So how about you, Gary? What have you been playing? Overwatch. So what else?
Yeah, you guessed correct. I didn't really have much time for gaming this week. I've been meaning to try and fit in some more Tales of Berseria, because I am really enjoying that game. But when you got a JRPG, you got to kind of sit down with it for at least an hour or 2 to really, get everything you need out of it. So I haven't really had that time, unfortunately. But I'm gonna have to try and make some time, because I know some games are coming out soon. Some pretty high profile games. So hopefully I'll be able to make more time for those games, so I can get them out the way before Horizon and then Mass Effect next month and stuff. So yeah, but just Overwatch at the moment, unfortunately.
Well, let me ask a quick question. Do they have any particular events going on now at Overwatch? I know they had something for Valentine's Day, so I just was curious. Do they have any other upcoming plans that you know about so far?
Yeah, they actually didn't have anything for Valentine's Day, but the Year of the Rooster update finished on Tuesday, and I'm not sure what will come next and when, but I know the season is about to end. Season 3, I believe, is about to end soon. So then I guess it will be a wait for the next season to start, and I imagine they would do something for Easter in terms of a seasonal update and stuff. But I guess we gotta wait and see what they do next.
Oh, that sounds good. Well, I mean, I know that I said that I would try out the game. I just haven't had a chance to try it out. Maybe I will try it out soon, because I did see a friend that was playing it the other day, and he was having a good time with the game. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm really addicted, and I'm actually hoping they do something for the 1-year anniversary, because I believe that's coming up in May, which is going to come around pretty soon. So I hope they do something for that.
Well, I think they definitely will, because they want people to keep playing the title. So we just have to wait and see what that actually is.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool. That's cool. So as for me, what I've been playing, I've been spending a lot of time with Halo Wars 2. Real-time strategy games, this is a bit of a different type of genre that I've only really started to really get into. So when I first heard about this game, and when I first saw that this game was coming, I really didn't think that this is a game that I would particularly care for too much, because it is a real-time strategy game. But as you dive deeper into it, and because this is the Halo universe, it's just like you are definitely interested in checking it out. So I do have a review that is coming. I wanted to get that review out sooner, but I've had a very crazy week, busy schedules. Work hours have picked up significantly, so I haven't had that much time to really share my thoughts. But there will be a review for Halo Wars up tomorrow, because the game actually launches, it launches on this upcoming Tuesday. The Ultimate Edition came out this past Friday, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people maybe wasn't interested in picking that up, that's fine. But I will give you all my thoughts on Halo Wars 2 sometime tomorrow. But what I can say so far is that I've enjoyed the game. It does have some issues. It's definitely not a game for everybody. You know, I think that has to be said more than once to really get the point across. It's not a game for everybody. I understand that Microsoft has a lot of big plans later this year. So I'm looking forward to seeing what these plans are and, you know, what other games they have that are coming. But this game is okay. If you're a Halo fan, you'll definitely want to check it out. If you're not really a Halo fan, you may not want to pick this up, and I wouldn't blame you for it. But as I said, I'll have my thoughts on that game as well as Sniper Elite for tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. That pretty much concludes what we have been playing for this week. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump right into the topics because quite a bit of things went down. So first and foremost, I believe we should talk about the pardon me, can't say the name correctly. PewDiePie. Obviously, those of you who have been following, whether it's gaming news or regular news, because for some reason some of this stuff went mainstream, this YouTuber has gotten himself into trouble over some videos that he made. So I would like for Mr. Lugo, as well as, you know, Gary and Max, you can give me your thoughts on this particular situation. But how about you go first, Mr. Lugo, and let us know your thoughts on what took place.
So basically the TLDR of it all is that PewDiePie for a while now has did a bunch of, you know, videos where they have like jokes that are, you know, they borderline on being anti-Semitic, which is basically he's talking about or having a punchline involving stuff with Nazi imagery, saying stuff that, you know, kill all the Jews and such. One of the bigger ones that everybody points out to is that there was this website. Okay, I forgot the name of the website now, you know, because I don't have it in front of me. But basically, it's like you could go on this website and you could pay, I think it's like $5 or $10 for this group of like, you know, random kids in like a third world country to actually write anything that you want on this like board or whatnot. So to make the point, for the sake of just saying like, you know, you could get anybody on the internet to do anything for money, he basically paid like $10 for the people on there to write on this board, death to all Jews or kill all the Jews. And, you know, that obviously would spark some sort of reaction from people. You know, for him, it's humor. For him, it's like, you know, it's shock humor. And that has a place and all this stuff. And I'll get to how I feel about that in a minute. But in addition to this, okay, he also had other videos where he was talking about even the media, saying how the media is kind of, you know, almost demonizing him. They're not giving him his fair, fair portrayal. That it was all these different things here and there where him and the media, you know, he's talking about the general media, you know, places like Variety, places like the Wall Street Journal and stuff. He does not like, and he feels like they're going after him constantly because they're trying to put him down because he's new media and traditional media is becoming obsolete and stuff. That's basically his argument. Now, in the wake of all that stuff, Wall Street Journal basically did a piece on him, basically pointing out all the different, like, you know, instances where he had stuff like that in his videos. Granted, a lot of them were taken out of context. Like, obviously, if you just show that short snippet of him dressed up as a Nazi, looking at a Hitler speech and, you know, doing all this different type of stuff, obviously, first glance, you're going to be like, what the hell are you doing, PewDiePie? You know, people are going to be like, that's kind of ridiculous and not a good thing for anybody for that matter. But basically, they did all that stuff, and Wall Street Journal was pointing all these different things out. And they went to Disney and Maker Studios and YouTube and asked for comment. Basically, asked like, hey, listen, your biggest personality, your biggest content creator is doing stuff like this. So, I mean, what's up? Like, what are your thoughts? And upon seeing this, and I'm pretty sure it was a long time coming, but basically Maker Studios, which is owned by Disney, decided to drop him as a partner, and YouTube decided to take him out of the Google preferred section, which is basically when you go on YouTube or you go on Google and you type in a search for something, he's more than likely going to be that channel, or his videos are more likely going to be put in your suggested or recommended tab and stuff. And that's, you know, fine and dandy. Basically, they didn't want nothing to do with anything involving stuff like that, which is totally understandable. Now, let's get to the issue at hand, which I feel like a lot of people are getting lost in translation, and I feel like a lot of people are either excusing it or looking for excuses about it and trying to pacify it in a way where they could agree with PewDiePie saying that the Wall Street Journal was putting out a hit piece on him, and that all the different websites, like the bigger media, are against PewDiePie, that they just, you know, again, they're trying to character assassinate him basically. And while I think that taking a lot of the stuff out of context and, you know, putting it out there for people to see is one thing, and should be condemned. It's not really necessarily good reporting. It's actually just pointing stuff out. But we have to not forget about the fact that PewDiePie did that type of content, and he put it out there for everybody to use, or put it out there for everybody to pay attention to. Whether he was trying to make a point, using shock humor or not, he still did that type of stuff. And in essence, you could hide behind comedy. You could hide behind the freedom of comedy to kind of joke about and take comedy wherever you want and stuff. That's still in poor taste to actually do different types of stuff like that, anti-Semitic jokes or stuff when you're talking about Nazis. It's not about trying to censor people. It's not about trying to keep people from joking about what they want to joke about. But you can't come out and say, that everybody's against you and stuff, or be upset when everybody reacts. When you have 53 million subscribers and you're putting out jokes that involve some sort of humor, that involves that type of like discussion, that involves that type of, content. There's bounds within that 53 million people that are your subscribers or not, or the outside eyes that are hearing about you and looking at your videos from the outside looking in. They're bound to be people that react to that in a negative light. And I don't blame them, because me personally, I was probably one of the few people out of, again, all these other different people, which is probably not few in the grand scheme of things, but I was probably one of the few people that actually went and looked at all the different videos that they referenced in the Wall Street Journal and actually look at the context of them. And even with the context of those jokes, the other surrounding like info and the other parts and the full videos that the Wall Street Journal references and stuff, I feel like even with that context, they're still in poor taste and they're still bad. And no matter how you slice it, I don't think it was a good thing to do. I don't think it was something that really benefited not only him, other than the reaction from everybody paying attention to his stuff and becoming relevant in some fashion. But I still don't think that it was in good taste and it really gave anything of significance to his audience. Because one of the points that I think is very relevant here and really important that people should understand, something that came from the Young Turks. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Young Turks, but they do a lot of political and news videos on YouTube and stuff that's outside of the mainstream media.
Oh, yeah, I watched them.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Gary. But basically, they made a good point in saying, it's like, listen, shock humor is okay and everything, and it has its place. And there are comedians that are based or have garnered fame from shock humor and such. But when we really start getting into things like the Holocaust, and you start talking about things like genocide, when you start talking about things like Nazism or neo-Nazism here and there, and you kind of casually, almost casually joke about it or try to make light of that type of stuff, it almost normalizes it. And that's a very dangerous thing to play around with, because in the wake of all that, believe it or not, a bunch of different neo-Nazi groups started really becoming PewDiePie fans and supporting, his videos and waving around the banner and all these different websites saying that, like, oh, we're big PewDiePie fans because he's making our beliefs, okay with the general public, which is clearly not the case. Obviously, I'm pretty sure, contrary to what the Wall Street Journal is like putting out there, PewDiePie is not an anti-Semitic. I don't think he's a Nazi. He doesn't share any of those beliefs and stuff. I think we could all agree upon that. But really gets back to the heart of the issue, which is, okay, when is actually trying to hide behind the veil of this is just jokes and this is just humor not enough? Because let's be real, PewDiePie is a public figure. He's got 53 plus million subscribers on his YouTube channel. He's got all these people that recognize him as probably the most subscribed YouTube channel out there, and probably one of the biggest content creators, especially game players or Let's Players out there in the industry, hands down. Does that mean automatically that because, he's one of these newer media celebrities and stuff, that anybody should look at him from a different eye compared to what they do with other celebrities that are out there, other comedians? If he considers himself a beginner's comedian or like a green comedian, which is someone that's just starting out and stuff like that, what's it really to say that we can't look at him in the same way that we look at other comedians that are also celebrities? If you notice, a lot of shock comedians that are out there, and a lot of comedians that even do like dirty humor or bad humor, or like, what is it? Some people call it potty humor, but humor that really gets a rise out of you, that's kind of like, gritty and stuff. They're not always going around and actually doing jokes about Nazism. They're not doing jokes about anti-Semitism. Or doing stuff and making light of that stuff, because there's nothing wrong with making a joke about stuff. But what's in good taste with the moment? What's the context and the content that you're bringing to people? What's your point that you're trying to bring to people? And is that point really give anything of value to the audience that you're trying to bring that to, or to everybody else around you when they hear that? Because just playing to your audience, I feel like, has become more of an excuse now. And all the people that I'm seeing talking about this, and all the people that I'm seeing discussing it, that are in support of PewDiePie, are really rallying behind him, or doing it for one of a couple reasons. Either one, they just want his name associated with him, in order to get like the reaction from everybody else just to see it. Two, they're trying to use free speech and comedy, the sake of humor, as like a reasoning for why what he did was right when it's not. Because again, even watching all those videos and stuff, it does to me, as someone that on the outside looking in, I might not be his audience and stuff, but I can look at something and hear a joke from someone and generally get the idea of like what the intention of that person was. With PewDiePie, I don't feel like I got that. And I feel like it was just more mean-spirited and it was a stupid move to do. But I'm talking too much now. Let me get some thoughts from the rest of you guys. Gary, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not particularly a PewDiePie fan. I have subscribed to him before and I watch some of his stuff here and there, but I wouldn't say I'm a fan. But I will definitely say that, these videos were in poor taste and he shouldn't have done them, considering the position he has, and, the partnerships he has and stuff. Like, he really shouldn't have did that. I do think there's some truth to what he said in his response video, where these like bigger media outlets despise him and YouTubers and stuff. I guess they do kind of see them as a threat. I don't know if it's to the extent that he's talking about, but I do believe that there's some truth in that. So if you do mess up like that, then it's obviously going to get exposed because you're under a microscope. So yeah, I just think it was a really bad move that backfired on him, unfortunately. So hopefully, like, he learns from this and understands his position, because I think this happens a lot to people who reach that level of success. Like, I mean, the closest understanding I have of it is, in hip hop, you got people like Jay-Z and stuff. Like, they really have to watch how they move now compared to when they were first rising up to that level, kind of thing. So I think it's the same here with PewDiePie. Like, he really has to watch what he says and how he acts and how he moves, because now he's really under that microscope. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out in his favor in this case. But I'm interested to hear what Max has to say about it.
See, that's the thing. I completely think that he just forgot that he can't do whatever he wants. Or maybe he didn't forget, but maybe he just went and did this sort of stuff anyways. Because one thing that bothered me about his argument was that he played the pity card. He was like, I'm by myself here. I don't have a producer doing this or anyone reviewing this over here. It's just me. And that's very true. But that should be, even, in my opinion, more reason to watch what you're putting out there and be very, very careful with what you're doing when you have a movement like he does, because he knows that he's talked about it many times. He knows that whatever he does, the media is going to talk about. Like, I can't imagine he did this Fiverr thing, which is what that site was called. I can't imagine he did this without thinking there would be no backlash whatsoever. And he goes in his video and he's like, yeah, that's okay to think it's not funny. That's just my sense of humor, and maybe I took it a bit far. But I don't think he really feels that he took it too far. I think that this is something that he'll probably try and do again. Not like in this case, like not just Jews, but I think he'll try something to this degree again at some point, just to like try and prove a point that the media is after him or something. But then it just becomes this game of back and forth. Like Wired, I think they changed the title now, or they took it down, but I saw they posted a article called "PewDiePie is now a hero for white supremacists." So like you were saying, Gary, like he has some validity in the fact that the news are after him in some way, shape, or form, or maybe threatened by him in regards to that. Because no, not everyone did that. Some people are just reporting what happened, But the fact that Wired did that, I was just kind of like, what are you talking about? Like, he's not, in no way, shape, or form is he a white supremacist.
I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's just kind of like, what are you guys doing? But that's the thing. So then PewDiePie would, I don't think he did. I think he ignored that, but like would probably make a comment on that or something, or just later on, this is going to happen again. He's going to do something. The media is going to comment on him, and then he's going to comment back. And it just becomes this like kind of petty game of back and forth, because I don't know why. I can't pretend to be in the mindset he's in, but I was reading some comments, a lot of comments on these topics, and a lot of people brought up the fact that they think he may just be bored, because he's come out and said he doesn't like doing gameplay videos much anymore. Like, he'll do them. He does like Resident Evil 7 and stuff, but that's not his main thing as much anymore. And they say he's bored, and the fact that he can do whatever he wants, he's just going to, and he's just trying to be edgy now. And he's just not a good comedian. Like JJ was saying, he doesn't know how to write a good joke. And the people who do that dirty humor and everything, they carefully plan out what they're going to say. You know what I mean? Like days and days of writing and making sure like this is in as good taste as it can be. And they kind of, like South Park, for example, I didn't get to read it yet, but I saw a headline talking about how come PewDiePie can't get away with this kind of stuff, but South Park can. And I skimmed through the article, and a lot of it was bringing up the fact that because South Park kind of makes fun of everyone, and it does it in a way that like does contribute to the story, like weirdly, you know, like everyone's seen an episode of South Park at some point. They know what I'm talking about, but it's just weird that he seemed so unaware of this. And I think he's just playing the pity card a lot of the time in this video. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he does have some valid points, but a lot of it just seemed to me a bit like he was just trying to whine because he knows he's going to be fine. At the end of the day, like, PewDiePie is going to be fine. Yeah, his show got canceled and they dropped. Also, he made it in the video seem like they had no choice. He made it seem like they didn't want to drop him, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I think it was a long time coming because somebody else that I know actually brought up a good point is that, look, when this came out from the Wall Street Journal, it happened immediately. It happened so fast. So that means they were thinking about that for a very long time, or at least, you know, for some time prior to all this going on. But I'll talk about something else related to all that once you finish.
Yeah, that reminds me, actually. He said that the Wall Street Journal didn't reach out for comment, and this was on Twitter, and Wall Street Journal replied saying, no, they reached out to him a bunch of times and he ignored them. So there's obviously some kind of, one of them is like lying here.
They actually went to his house apparently, and he put it on blast on Twitter, saying that they went to his house personally and gave him a card and stuff. But again, I'll wait till you're done because I feel like I'm going to blow up on this.
Yeah. Yeah, see, exactly. So that proves the point even more. Like, they're both saying, like, making some shit up, you know? And in all honesty, I do think that what PewDiePie says he does believe. Like, I really do think he thinks the media is completely after him. I don't know if he understands why, but in my opinion, it's kind of easy because he's almost asking for it. I wonder if it's like one of those things where he just can't handle, he doesn't get the fame he has. Because, like, imagine comprehending, you have 53 million, so you're the biggest person on a video platform. You are starting a movement. He's a public figure. Like, that's crazy to think about. And
yeah, and it's not like, I mean, like, say you're a celebrity or something, most likely you've been groomed by the system. Like, you have a lot of support around you and stuff as you're rising to that level. But he doesn't have that. He's just a normal guy who was making videos in his house. So
yeah, and that's unreal.
Here's the thing, and again, I feel like I'm going to blow up a little bit on this subject if I don't temper myself. It's really, I've noticed this because even earlier today, before we started recording this podcast, like, I was listening to a bunch of bigger YouTubers getting together and talking about this, and I feel like there's a couple different things, like we've talked about in the past. Like, there's this vindictive nature against the media for one reason or another, for a bunch of different unrelated topics, you know, here and there, the games industry and stuff or whatnot. And sorry about that. No, somebody was telling me something over here. So basically, you know, it's like there's this very vindictive nature against the media for one reason or another, because they feel like, again, either the media, besides it, you know, some people saying it's corrupt or whatnot, again, when they're talking about politics. So in this case, he feels like the media is trying to go after him and a character assassinate him because they feel threatened and stuff. And all this, like, combined together, I think is collectively a bunch of bullshit for one reason or another. And one of the things that Ben Kuchera actually brought up in one of his articles where he was talking about all this stuff, and he was saying to a couple in the article, was like, listen, you know, you're an actual public figure right now. You've always been a public figure for some point. You have a ridiculous amount of following behind you.
And he knows that. He brought that up.
And he knows that. And the thing is like, I don't think he fully understands it, for the sake of, like, listen, a bunch of people support you as subscribers and stuff, and that's cool and dandy, and a lot of them happen to be young kids, which I also think is also a valid point for the context that he keeps bringing up, and like so many other people keep bringing up, because they're trying, by him doing that stuff, like what the Young Turk said, that normalizes a lot of that rhetoric, which is never really a good thing. But also, it's like he feels like he should be exempt from the the reactions of everybody else, compared to what other celebrities do. And I think that's wrong. And I think that's unfair. And I see a lot of different bigger YouTube stars, bigger YouTube channels coming out and supporting him and stuff and pointing fingers at the media saying that it's, it's censorship, which is crazy because they're not trying to censor him. I don't know why that even got brought up by a lot of different people where, we can't say certain things and stuff. Is like, well, you could say whatever you want, but also at the same time, you have to understand that, like, what you say should also have a good nature behind it. And a lot of the stuff that the Wall Street Journal pointed out, it really wasn't. And even with the points that he was trying to make, that he kept saying that, oh, the Wall Street Journal didn't show everything else, that was part of those videos that they were pointing out and stuff. I even saw Philip DeFranco talking about it. I saw was a Sargon of Akkad and all these other different people talking about it and stuff. It's like, listen, when at the end of the day, no matter what jokes or what content that you're going to put out there and stuff, it's not that everybody else is trying to censor you. It's not that everybody else is trying to say that you can't say what you want. But at the same time, you have to accept everybody else's opinions aside from your own. It doesn't matter how many subscribers that you have out there. Somebody is not going to agree with you. And it just how happens to be a lot of people, especially for people that are writing these articles for these websites, don't happen to agree with them. They even brought up, believe it or not, there was a follow-up to the Wall Street Journal story that came out afterwards, after PewDiePie did his video reaction to all this stuff, which again, much like you, Max, I feel like also there was a lot of excuses and a lot of stuff that he was trying to bring attention to and such. One of the things he likes to do a lot is to talk about how much charity he does, how much he donates to charity, which is, I think, very bad. In my personal opinion, that's not something I would do. Getting back to the point at hand, one of the guys that actually wrote one of the articles that he referenced in his video that was done by the Wall Street Journal was that actual, photo shoot that he did where it has him with the X with the little number one finger on his on his finger, the little number one foam hand on his finger. Basically, the guy says, like, listen, before all this and stuff, you were cool with us at one point, actually doing all these different things, actually doing the photo shoot, helping us write the article, or at least, allowing us to talk to you and stuff like that. And then none of this stuff was a problem beforehand. And it seems like, you're kind of either going towards one thing or another to deflect either towards your agenda for, to let people kind of like sympathize with you for something that you messed up, that you did on your own videos, on your own conscience and stuff, and everybody's just pointing it out. So again, I know I'm kind of going a little bit off topic and I don't want to kind of like prolong it anymore and stuff, but I feel very strongly about this, where the biggest point and the one thing that I hope everybody takes out of this discussion is that sometimes some people that have a ridiculous following or have that fame, have that notoriety, just don't know how to utilize it right. Or they get so caught up on nonsense and get so caught up on ridiculous stuff that has nothing to do with what they use to get to the top or what has anything that's worth, related to getting to the top and stuff. But they either they're bored, like you said, or they're annoyed, or they just, it was one of those days and they just want to rise out of people and stuff, rather than actually using that audience and using that influence that they have to make a much more significant positive impact on other people's lives, not only just for their audience, but for everyone else around them. If PewDiePie did jokes and made those same points in those videos without having to go into any of that stuff, I'm pretty sure a lot more people would have praised him when they instead of what they actually saw in some of his videos. But that's just me, though.
Yeah, I think that being bored creatively thing that, Max kind of brought up is definitely a reality with some of the bigger YouTubers. Because Rich knows, like, my favorite YouTuber, Sniper Wolf, like, she used to like post a lot of gameplay videos. Like, she used to talk about Metal Gear Solid and Call of Duty and all that stuff. And now she rarely does any gameplay videos. And it's just her channel's just turned into a lot of clickbaity kind of titles. Like, oh, will I do porn and stuff like that?
Whoa, that's too much.
Yeah, I mean, that is the reality. Like, I think once you cross over to that point and you get a larger audience, it gets to the point where you can't just do like gameplay videos and stuff. So you've got to kind of, I guess you get into that zone where it's like you get boxed in creatively. Like, you can't do everything that you used to do. You don't have that same level of freedom. So I definitely feel like that's what happened here. Like, he was just kind of reaching for things.
All right, so I have a quick comment to make. First and foremost, I think all three of you gave some very, very good explanations, and I respect all of your opinions for what you said. What I'm going to say may not be quite as professional or nice. I'm just going to say it like this. I know people probably, if you're watching live, you saw me laughing on camera. I wasn't laughing at the jokes that this guy made. I'm laughing because he's a dumbass. Because the thing about it is this: he could say that, that, you know, he doesn't really understand the fact that he is a public figure, even though he has said it. But you have to understand, there are restrictions in life. The minute he signed that deal with Disney and YouTube was involved, did you honestly think that they were going to keep this guy and let him say whatever he wants to say? No, because they have an image to uphold. So obviously he took things way too far with his jokes. And as Max said, bad comedian. You know, perhaps he should have me write jokes for him, because I think I'm a little bit better than him when it comes to telling jokes. But I just think, we say, Gary?
Oh, you're way better.
Oh, well, we'll see. But yeah, I just think very, very bad decision to even bring up this topic. There are a lot of things he could have talked about within the actual gaming industry, because now there's a whole bunch of games that are actually coming out. So I'm surprised. But again, I guess, as you guys said, maybe he was not motivated to talk about games. He wanted to talk about other stuff. But I just don't understand the decision to make this type of content. And it's really unfortunate. But it's not, you know, but it was a bad decision because of how he did it. Also, because, as JJ already alluded to, you have to figure some people who are subscribers, they will be offended by that type of content. Not to mention the fact that the political climate in this country right now is rough. Things are divided, you know. So
it's hostile as hell, basically.
Yeah. So you have to know there's going to be some backlash, some extreme backlash in this case. So I just don't understand how he can go into this blindly thinking, oh, there won't be. He had to know there will be some type of repercussions for doing it, and he did it. I don't buy, you know, nobody.
I just don't think he cared. I just don't think he cared at all. And the thing is like, you could even see in some of the reactions, some of his videos. I mean, he took time to dress up as a Nazi to sit there and get a video of him watching a Hitler speech. And I get it. It was part of a greater point. He was actually poking fun at the fact that some of the other media outlets that he just dislikes or that he feels are against him were saying that his fans or that people or individuals and content creators like him were acting like Nazis because they were outspoken or something. I get it. I understand that point. I just don't feel you need to do all that to make it. There's far better ways to go about that, or far better ways to make a point than paying someone to put death to all Jews on there. You know, just to make a point. That, to me, that's stupid. Again, it goes back to my point. You have all that influence and you have all that support and you have all that notoriety and fame and all that stuff, and you don't use it for a greater positivity out there. It's not forced positivity. It's just something much more beneficial, not only to yourself and to your audience, but for everybody else on the outside too. But again, I'll shut up because I'm talking too much about it. It's one of those things I feel strongly about.
Well, absolutely. No, very good points, but you're absolutely correct. And I will add that I do feel sorry for the kids that do see this guy as a role model, because I mean, I'll be very concerned about the state of how this country will be years later if you're looking at people like this guy as, oh, this is someone who I look up to. I want to do stuff like him in the future. I'll be very concerned for the future of this country if that's who people are looking to. But yeah, I mean, again, this topic will probably go a little bit too deep. We just wanted to give our initial thoughts on it because I just think it was a dumb decision. Obviously, he's still getting some attention, and that is also another reason why I don't want to spend too much time on it, because I don't think he deserves any attention, unless it is all negative, saying it was a dumb decision. But he doesn't need any attention from me, I would say. You gonna say something, Gary?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, people actually respond to negativity, and I mean, like, you know, I'm playing devil's advocate here, but when was the last time we talked about PewDiePie? You know, like
never.
So
never.
Yeah.
Never.
I mean, in the end, did this really benefit him, or, you know, I don't know.
It did because it gets attention on it, and it does so with every other news outlet that goes to his channel to watch those videos. I get it. He makes money. That's totally true and stuff like that. But personally, for me, if I was someone that at some point where all eyes were going to be on me or whatnot, I would rather have them doing so within a much better light than something like this. To be honest with you, this is not something to be proud of. It's not something to be proud of where you're almost going on a vindictive crusade or a vindictive battle, like some people say, against the greater traditional media. To me, that's stupid.
Yeah.
It's petty. kind of.
Very stupid.
The way they go about it is petty.
It's petty, and it's also petty of the other people that are just blindly just rallying behind his cause, rather than just really thinking about all sides of the equation here. Because again, like I said, I was listening to a podcast where a bunch of big YouTubers that are very similar to him, not in the same levels of following, but like have millions of subscribers each and stuff, and they're all talking about how the media is out to get everybody. And it's just like, no, that I don't think so. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But again, I'll shut up.
That's quite all right. I'm glad that we were able to have this discussion. For those of you that are in the comment section, or if you're listening to the podcast later, feel free to let us know what your thoughts are on the topic in the comment section. So I believe we'll move on to the next topic now. We already talked about, the annoying news that was this guy. Now we're going to talk about something else that is annoying that has been going on in this industry for quite a while. And now here comes Nintendo to join the party, late as always. So, we found out last week that The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, one of Gary's most anticipated games of 2017, is going to have... Yeah, I'm looking forward to it being... it's not going to measure up to anything else out that month, though. But, yeah, we'll see. We found out that it has a season pass. Okay. So, with the season pass... we do want to pose the question based off of what we heard of the season pass, whether or not we think that it is actually worth it. So, Mr. Lugo, please shed some light on what I would get if I was to get the season pass of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
So, basically, the season pass is going to come with a few things, okay? There's going to be 2 DLC packs that are coming out this year, both in the summer and during the holiday season, with also the expansion pass bonus, or the season pass bonus that you get on launch day with the game. So the expansion pass bonus, which comes out March 3rd, comes with 3 new treasure chests, okay, that are found in different areas within the Great Plateau, contains a couple different randomly generated useful items and in-game clothing for getting the season pass. This isn't something where they remove from the game. This is something that they're adding on in addition for people that dive into it. The first DLC pack that comes out in the summer of this year is going to add a new Cave of Trials challenge. It's going to add a new hard mode, okay, now emphasis on new, and I'll get back to that later, and an additional map feature, which they haven't detailed yet. Now, in the holiday, which is around like the time I'm guessing when like Super Mario Odyssey comes out, or like during that 4th quarter, more than likely, it's going to be a new original story, which is going to be some sort of story-based DLC. We don't know yet. They haven't really detailed it. A new dungeon, which is probably going to be related to that, more than likely, and additional challenges, which is probably also going to be related to that. But a lot of this stuff, you guys got to understand, Nintendo hasn't really given us all the details about. They've been very vague with it. So there's a couple different things about this, Rich. I think that this was inevitable. Nintendo hasn't Nintendo's dived into DLC before in the past. They did so with games like Smash Brothers on Wii U and 3DS. They've done it with other games like Hyrule Warriors and Hyrule Warriors Legends on Wii U and 3DS as well. They've done that with a variety of their different games on the market, both first party as well as also third party companies that have put stuff on the Wii U, on the 3DS, etc. This is just a natural step, a natural progression. I don't think they've really done any season passes. I don't think Hyrule Warriors had a season pass, if I'm not mistaken. But this was a natural progression. What I think, though, and what's telling about this entire thing is the reaction from everybody else. I think that a lot of Nintendo fans and a lot of people that are complaining about this simply just don't want to pay. They just want to be given stuff. And I understand that. I get it. We get a lot of value and a lot of content within our Nintendo games on all our Nintendo platforms for the most part. When we're talking about first-party Nintendo titles, we're just going to say that for the sake of argument here and such. But I feel like a lot of people have a big misconception about a lot of this DLC. I feel like it's a lot of knee-jerk reactions and hearing through word of mouth, one reason or another, from people that just don't know, that just don't simply, again, know what really is up or what Nintendo has said about this stuff. If you want the company like Nintendo to be profitable and to thrive and to make money and stuff, you have to actually pay for value and pay for stuff that you really want. You have to speak with your wallet. If you're going to be one of those gamers out there, a Nintendo fan, especially someone that bought a Wii U and is probably getting a Nintendo Switch and stuff, speak with your wallet. Don't buy the DLC or don't buy the season pass if you don't want to. That's fine. Okay. But at the same time, I don't think it's fair to say about Nintendo that they're pulling stuff out of their games or that Nintendo is nickeling and diming people for their experiences. I don't think that's a fair assessment because they never did that. Even with Smash Brothers that had all that DLC and stuff. Okay. I don't think anybody was really complaining when they were buying the DLC for the fighters or for the actual stages or even the Mii outfits and stuff. You know, I don't think this is a big deal. If anything, this is a better deal because this seems like we're going to get a lot of content for Breath of the Wild after its initial release, which I think is great. But that's just my opinion on the matter. I'm curious of what you guys think.
Who wants to go next?
I mean, like my philosophy is always that, you know, companies shouldn't keep content away from the core game, and that, you know, if you do a DLC, it should really be like an expansion that adds, you know, hours onto the actual story and the narrative, but that should come way later at some point after a period of time. But you know, as for this, I really feel like that first part of the DLC should just be offered for free. I mean, you know, if it's not going to be in the game on day one, then, you know, maybe release it, you know, a few months down the line for free, just to keep people playing and give them a reason to go back to the game. And then, you know, later on in the fall, you could just charge like the full $20 or whatever for the story expansion, because people will definitely buy that anyway, because they'll want more, basically. So I feel like they should have handled it that way instead of like bundling the two things together, because then it makes it seem like, oh wow, like why don't I have a choice to pay for these separately? Because like who wants to pay for a hard mode kind of thing? But I know JJ put an asterisk next to the new hard mode thing, so maybe there's more of an explanation of why they're offering this hard mode as part of a DLC.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people are saying that this is the Master Quest mode or the hard mode, very similar to what they had at Twilight Princess. I don't think so. And for a couple different reasons. Number one, they're saying new hard mode, which means that there's already a hard mode in the game, more than likely, or at least that's what it implies. But also, they haven't given any other details about it. So it might be a much harder mode. It might be something different that we just don't know about just yet, because they haven't talked about it. We'll probably hear about it once the game comes out in a couple weeks. We'll know straight from Nintendo, or as we get closer to the release of that particular DLC. But I go back to the notion that I feel like a lot of Nintendo fans, or a lot of people that are fans of the series, or they're going to get this game, are knee-jerk reacting to this, and they're doing so without all the facts.
All right, what do you think, Max?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's honestly, it's kind of like us judging the Scorpio too hardly right now. We don't know much about it. We're just going off like very vague terms, and I think that people should wait and see what the DLC is before really reacting to it. Because JJ's right, Nintendo fans, they kind of can get that way. Like, and I get it, because yeah, that's what they've always known. But yeah, and like he said, DLC has been coming to different platforms slowly, and that Zelda game doesn't really seem like it's going to be ripping anyone off. I feel like, from the way it looks, that game looks awesome, and it looks chock full of content, and it will probably, given Nintendo's history, be worth the full price. So I think anyone saying that Nintendo is trying to like rip them off or nickel and dime them is kind of, yeah, just stretching, because I really doubt that's the case. Nintendo has never been that kind of way. Like, yeah, a lot of their stuff is like kind of expensive, but you're generally getting a quality product from Nintendo. Like, say what you will, whether you enjoy their games or not, they're always like well made. They're almost never buggy. You know what I mean? Like they're just good, solid games on a technical level. It's like they're usually of a decent value, and I feel like this is going to be the same case.
Yeah, to those people saying that Nintendo is ripping them off and stuff, I wouldn't exactly say they're ripping people off. They're just making a business decision, because I mean, every publisher does this. Like, you know, now, like, there's always DLC and extra content and stuff that, you know, publishers are trying to sell to you with these games. So Nintendo just wants a piece of the pie. Like, you know, it's an extra way to make money, and, you know, for the studio and everything. So why not? I guess, I mean, people are going to want extra content anyway, so I guess they had to do it. But it's just that the approach, I think, could be better with the first DLC pack or whatever, the hard mode. I definitely feel like that should be free. But, you know, besides that, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing that they're selling extra content for the game, especially if it's like story content and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I also just had a thought, like the Oblivion expansions, I believe, were not that expensive coming out. I believe they were 20 or 30, and you got like a large amount of content, a very large amount of content. And I was just thinking that maybe DLC Pack 2 is going to be like 10, 15 hours of extra content. Since the way this game is so big, I'm assuming they could apply that formula to whatever new story they would add. And maybe that's just going to be a huge chunk of content. And then the first pack and the expansion pack bonuses are lesser parts of it, where you would mostly be getting your $20 value in pack 2, but pack 1 and the bonus are just like extra add-ons, just like keep you going throughout the year or something. I don't know. That'd be interesting though, because like that'd be cool if it was just a massive expansion with a new story, because you've never seen this kind of stuff in Zelda. And Zelda isn't really known for having like small stories, you know what I mean? They're always kind of epic journeys. So maybe this will be like a mini epic journey or something.
Yeah, so let me just make a real quick comment on this. Once again, a lot of great points made all around. I have to agree with Gary that obviously we don't know any information about what this hard mode is yet. And I think that the lack of information, I mean, this is the issue with Nintendo, because I said the last show, there was never really explanation as to what is the difference between the Wii U version of this game and the Switch version of this game, besides the resolution difference. And I'm pretty sure Digital Foundry or any other, reputable, well-known site or establishment will do their research and figure out what the difference is between both versions, which is fine. But getting back to this thing about this hard mode, I definitely think that at the very least, I've never heard of a hard mode being DLC that you have to pay for. And I have a bit of an issue with that. But outside of the other content, as long as they explain what it is, it's fine. The question that I would have, though, is for those that pick up Zelda on day one, do you honestly believe that they will come back to this game the holiday later this year when there's going to be so many other things that they're going to want to play?
No, unless they're diehard for the DLC, or again, that's all they want to play, and they don't want to play Mario. They don't want to play any of the other Switch games that are coming out from release all the way through the holiday season.
DLC, yeah, that's. Well, yeah, like you said, yeah, if there's going to be some diehard fans, they'll definitely be interested in it. But I don't know. I guess, people just have to be happy that the game is coming. I mean, obviously, there is a choice. It's not like they have to buy the season pass. It's all optional. It's not like you're being forced to buy it. But, I mean, people probably should just be glad the game is coming, and they're going to be playing it within a couple of weeks, I guess. But, I guess, yeah, Nintendo has to do what they have to do to make money. I guess they know that they did mention that this game is huge. There's a lot of things that they wanted to do with it. Probably with some stuff that they are still working on that won't be ready. This is why it's a season pass. But I don't know. One thing I do know is that I have respect for Zelda. I have respect for Nintendo. I have respect for fans that are looking forward to this game. But the only game that I'm looking forward to in March is Mass Effect Andromeda. And so, honestly, that's it. But for those that are looking forward to the game, they don't want to pay for the season pass. Well, it is an option. You don't have to pay for the season pass. Just play the game, and I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy the game as is right out the box. But we'll see. Any final thoughts on this topic before we move on?
None from me.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. We're going to stay on Nintendo, because there's another there's another incident that happened that I just learned about right before we started recording. So, Mr. Lugo, please feel free to tell us what is going on with this leaked Nintendo Switch and what happened with that whole situation.
So again, another thing with the TLDR is basically what happened was somebody got a hold of a Nintendo Switch early. They got a console in the box, all that jazz. They basically bought it from someone that had stolen it from a shipment of Switches that were going out to some sort of retail outlet at some point. And this guy's name on Reddit was Hip Hop the Robot, and he posted up a video of unboxing and a boot up, looking at the actual UI and everything of the Nintendo Switch. Basically exposed everything about it. that he looked at it, he showed all the different stuff. Funny enough, he actually, even though I don't think he intended to, actually showed off his face in the glare of the actual tablet mode itself, so you could actually see the person's face in the actual tablet, which is...
Wait, it's no relation to Hip Hop Gamer, right?
No, unfortunately not.
Just
But
He's a robot.
yeah, but basically he exposed everything about the Nintendo Switch and you know, the UI and all this other stuff that people had questions about. And that's fine and dandy, but here's the problem though, okay? And the major problem that some people seem to be lost on. Not only did he have a product that was stolen at one point, but he had it mad early before anybody else. Even people in the media, I think, didn't even have the Switch at some point, because I know like now it's as we get closer to the release, you're going to start to see the unboxing videos and the different demos and previews of the actual console. Nobody had a Switch console whatsoever to do any of that stuff, but this guy somehow got it from this person that somehow got it or stole it from some shipment. So here's what happened. As expected, the Nintendo ninjas went out on patrol and the Bowser Brigade was called in. And what that usually means, you know, all joking aside, is that Nintendo went to work and not only found out where the guy was, but they also got a hand and took back the Nintendo Switch. And they also went out and actually found the people who actually sold it to him. And they're pretty sure they're going about prosecuting them, because according to them, they made a statement shortly after. I believe they made it to IGN or to Kotaku at one point, saying that they identified the people that they originally, you know, the Switch came from. It was stolen from a shipment that was going out to a retail outlet. And they not only got the people fired, which, or at least, you know, the company that they were working for, the actual company that was sending these out to the different retail outlets, they got fired, and now they're getting prosecuted at the full extent of the law, which is par for the course. You know, you shouldn't go about bragging or go about, you know, so willy-nilly doing something that you're not supposed to do, especially with a company that's so protective of their IP and their products as Nintendo, because they are vicious and they're savage when it comes to that stuff. And everybody knows it. You know, that's the running joke with all this stuff, but it's totally true. And I don't blame them for doing so, but that's basically the gist of what happened.
Well, the Bowser Brigade don't play around.
Let me make a quick comment, and then I'm gonna let Max and Gary give their thoughts. I have to ask the question: is this guy related to PewDiePie? Because they're both dumbasses.
No, but like I said, like to Gary's point, the Bowser Brigade is vicious. We've seen them at E3. You know those big giant dudes that walk around with Reggie Fils-Aimé? Yo, that's the Bowser Brigade.
Yeah, I mean, this guy. I just don't get it. You know, you first of all, you show your face. Also, you say his face. You saw some of his face, so we know how the guy looks. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just a stupid decisions. Now, I am surprised, as I said before we started recording, I am surprised Nintendo took this action. And I thought about when the PlayStation 4 Slim leaked, that I didn't see. So Sony took no action against the people who leaked the information. Nothing. So obviously, as you said, JJ, Nintendo, it's a different policy, different business practices. That's fine.
It's one thing that should be noted, Rich, is that they did not take down the original video that he had uploaded of the Nintendo Switch UI and the unboxing of it, which I also thought was strange, because a lot of people pointed that out, but they didn't take it down, I guess. Or maybe they did at the time that we're recording this, but as far as I know, it's still up. That's
interesting. I didn't know that either.
I think Sony must have been like, oh, well, he can't play any games right now anyway, because there ain't no games to play.
I knew that joke was coming. We can't say that now, Gary. There's a shitload of PlayStation 4 games out, so we can't use that excuse anymore.
Yeah, I think the way Nintendo handled it, I think it definitely sets an example. And I feel like people will think twice before they do this the next time. So, you know, maybe it's a good thing, because I mean, it is actually, you know, I'm not sure. Is it actually illegal to like do stuff like that?
Oh yeah, it's illegal, and it's like legal, but via like you could not only get sued, you know, and possibly thrown in jail. Like it depends a lot. Again, context matters seems to be like the phrase that's thrown around a lot the last like week or so, but context does matter in the eyes of the law. But basically, Nintendo, if they really wanted to, they could go sue a bunch of people and win.
Okay, because I knew it would be illegal if like a retailer sold it, but you know,
they're gonna catch heat too. Don't worry. Like if they had sold it at the actual retailer, they would have caught heat as well.
Yeah. but like I didn't know if I wasn't sure whether it was actually illegal if you just happened to obtain something before release and then you.
Well, that's the thing. It was stolen. That's the main point that everybody needs to understand is that the console was stolen from a shipment. That's what makes this all the more open and shut.
Right. Yeah. So he is very stupid for exposing that he stole the item. But then the other question is,
wait, so he was physically the person who stole it, or what?
No, he bought it from the person
Yeah.
that stole it, basically. And then he talked about it, so openly about what he did, or as far as like, again, what he was looking at with the console. He was on Reddit posting stuff up, and I'm pretty sure within that time frame, Nintendo ninjas were at work.
Well, yeah, he was asking for trouble.
Yeah, but then you also said that, oh, well, my bills are kind of tight. I think I'm going to sell this thing.
Yeah, that's the other thing I should mention. I forgot to mention that, okay? And I think I should mention it for, the complete story. He was on, during the time when he actually uploaded his video, that was the unboxing and showing the UI and stuff, he went on Reddit talking about it. And he was saying that at some point he was actually thinking of selling the console because he needed money. He needed to, pay rent and all these other things and stuff. This was all before Nintendo went to work and such. And then, funny enough, after all that, then he was a little bit more docile and talking about what exactly happened when Nintendo went to work and stuff. So that's always funny. But again, the harsh lesson out of all this is to not do something you're not supposed to do and then brag about it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the other question would be, what the hell was he going to play? Though he didn't have access to any games, so I don't understand.
I'm pretty sure he did though. Like they didn't say explicitly in the story, and a lot of it didn't come out because basically they were talking about the console itself. That's what he showed. But I wouldn't be surprised if you buy a console and buy no games for it.
Oh well, hey, you never know.
Unless the games didn't ship out at the same time as the consoles. Remember, we got to keep that in mind too. I don't know if they necessarily ship the same time.
Zelda's already gone gold, right? So Zelda's okay.
Zelda comes out in a few weeks, yeah.
So he could have had that then. You never know. I guess just a dumbass. But Max, what do you think about this situation?
I think you guys pretty much covered most of it. It was just dumb. It was a dumb decision. Like, yeah, it is cool. Don't get me wrong. That'd be if I had a Switch, like just come to my door, I'd be fucking hyped. But the thing is, I'm not gonna go out and make a video on it because, like, I know that's wrong to do, and you just shouldn't do that. Like JJ was saying, it's illegal. You can get in huge trouble for it. Like the PS4 Pro that you brought up, Rich. I wonder if the reason Sony didn't care that much is because like it was like an incremental console. Like, you know what I mean? It's still like the PS4, but it just had like better parts in it. Whereas the Wii U is like this whole, or the Switch is this whole new system. You know what I mean? And also Nintendo is just kind of, I feel like always kind of anal about their properties, which is, I guess, a good thing. They're very careful about their properties. And like, I think JJ said this earlier, like they always go and take down fan-made games and everything. So they've always just been kind of weird in that way. But yeah, it was a dumb decision. And he probably just didn't think about it. He was probably lost in the hype, It was just like, hell yeah, I got to show everyone. I don't think he did it maliciously, but you still got to think about it before you do it.
Absolutely. These people don't think before they act. And that is the problem. But hey, it's all good. We'll see what happens with that later. It did not convince me that I need to get a Switch. I'm like, oh, to hell with that. But we'll see. Any final thoughts on this topic before we move on to the next?
No, I mean, Nintendo had every right to trace it down and everything. Like, I feel like they had every right. And I think in some aspects it's good they did that because it definitely sets an example for the next person. So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we're going to get into a couple of Sony topics now. So the first topic of news this week about PlayStation, we learned that PlayStation Now has been canceled on all devices except for PlayStation 4 and PC. So do you guys have any thoughts on this particular news? How about you go first, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like my guess is that this is a case where they've looked at the analytics and they've seen that nobody's using PlayStation Now on, those other devices and stuff. So, I guess they're just like, like, let's just pull those apps or, pull support on those devices and just focus on the PS4 and PC. And I mean, if it is a case where the numbers are low all across the board, then it makes sense to just pull back and focus just on those two devices, because that's probably where they have the most potential to push this service. But at the same time, you know, I think it's looking bleak for that service, to be honest. I mean, I don't know too many people who use it at all, and I just don't know why you would pay that much money to use it personally. But yeah, I just things aren't looking good for PS Now, and I think they need to restructure and remodel that whole service a little bit to make it more enticing for people. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's just a case of, not many people are using those systems as much in general, let alone that software on those systems. And I bet not even a lot of people are using it on PS4 and PC. Like you were saying, they probably just have to revamp it if they want to keep it going. And they made it sound like they want to keep it going. They said they want to create a better infrastructure for it and all that. So yeah, I think it's just a service that needs to be moved on, you know.
I think you may hear some news about this at E3. Maybe they'll mention something about that they're doing with PlayStation Now, implement it a little bit better, maybe add it to PlayStation Plus, maybe make it a little bit cheaper. I don't know, but you may hear something about this because from what I understand, obviously we'll see a lot of new game announcements. A couple of other games we know are coming. We'll maybe get some release dates. But outside of that, I don't really know what else Sony could talk about. You know, they could talk about PlayStation VR as well. But yeah, PlayStation Now, there obviously will be some news about that, I would think, during that show. But that's just my guess.
The only way PS Now can really work, because let's not forget, Microsoft completely cock-blocked PlayStation Now when they announced backwards compatibility. But so the only way, you know, I feel like Sony can kind of make that service more appealing to people and make people actually want to subscribe to it is to offer, because you got to look at the benefit of PlayStation Now as being able to actually stream games, not having to install them and stuff. So you actually get to, you know, stream these games and stuff. So they should introduce newer games to the system, because, you know, that might be convenient for some people. And then on PC as well, on the PC level, people are going to be able to stream newer games and stuff for the PS4. And, you know, that in itself, I mean, that completely puts them on a level playing field with Microsoft, who is doing stuff on PC with the crossplay and stuff like that. And, you know, overall across the board, I think it just makes it more appealing. And if they somehow manage to merge it with PlayStation Plus, so that it's basically a more higher priced PlayStation Plus service. So you know, you can have what you have now is basically the standard PlayStation Plus, but then if you upgrade by giving an extra $10 or something like that, you get the PlayStation Now version, and it gives you access to this library that you can stream, basically. I feel like if they did it that way, that would be a lot more appealing.
I just want to make a quick comment. I think that is exactly what they need to do, because the way that they have PlayStation Plus now, I mean, they still give away PlayStation 3 games, but you have to play those games on the PlayStation 3. It would be far easier to play that on PlayStation 4 if they find a way to implement that type of stuff. Because, you know, when I get a game now on Games with Gold, if it's a 360 game, I can play it on Xbox One. I don't have to pull out an older console just to play that. So I will hope they go in that direction, but, you know, that's up to them. But I think they are going to consider doing something, because otherwise it would have just got rid of PlayStation Now altogether if they didn't have any plans to do anything with it on PS4. So we'll see. Any final thoughts before we move on to the next topic?
Wait, what does Mr. Jake James Lugo think?
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say about PS Now is that I never used it, never cared about it. It's whatever. I think that's the best way to describe PS Now. I remember when we used to go to E3 and there used to be those big advertisements for it, and there used to be those things that they would hand out to everybody that walked by. That was the only time of any significance that I remember PS Now whatsoever. I never used it myself, so I don't care.
Well, hey, I haven't used it either, but pretty sure there'll be some people that will see that and they may have a couple of comments, but it's all good. Hey, hopefully they find a way to make it useful for everybody. Again, if it was part of PlayStation Plus, that would change a lot of things, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I guess we can move on to the next topic. Gary, perhaps you want to talk about this topic since you brought this up. We discussed it the other day, so feel free to go ahead. We're talking about Horizon Zero Dawn. So let us know what happened.
Yeah, so basically, a few days ago, a review for Horizon Zero Dawn actually got published on Engadet, and it was a mostly positive review, but it was way early because I mean the game doesn't even come out till like was it the 28th, the last day of the month. So that review was way early, but it was all positive, and they've taken the review down now, but there are screenshots of it online that you can look at and actually read the full review, and it's really positive. And like I was talking to Max about it earlier, like it's basically a love letter to the main character. Like the way it's written, it's like they're just really praising the character and everything. Like I didn't read the whole thing, but I skimmed through a lot of the paragraphs, and it's like always talking about the character in a positive light and stuff. And it's hard to really she does the writer doesn't really do a good job of backing up why she thinks it's so great kind of thing. It's just like all these positive statements and stuff. And a lot of people were actually beginning to speculate, because you know how the internet is. People were actually speculating that this was indeed intentional, and Sony might have like paid, maybe even paid for this to happen or something, like for promo purposes or something like that. But I don't know if it runs that deep or if it was just an honest mistake. But that's how the internet works. People speculate. So I wanted to see what you guys thought of this, and if you had a chance to read it.
I didn't get a chance to read it. I will say embargo's broken. Like somebody really messed up very bad. And while I can't really say much about Horizon right now, I can't say that I have talked to people about it, and I've talked to people that are reviewing the game and stuff. And I know that within the next day or so, I think it's even tonight at midnight, if I'm not mistaken, is when reviews are going to start popping up for the rest of this week. And you'll start seeing everybody talk about this game and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens and what everybody else's reactions is once the official reviews start coming out.
All right, I'd like to make a quick comment, and then Gary and Max, you can give your thoughts. I do understand that Tony Polanco is actually reviewing the game for us, so you can expect some impressions on that game, I believe either tomorrow or Tuesday, because the embargo is supposed to lift. I'm not sure if it's supposed to lift tomorrow, which is the 20th or the 21st, but you'll see something about that.
It's at midnight. I just checked now.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, yeah. Sounds great. So look forward to that. Now, to go back to this topic, obviously, yeah, they had the whole thing about, yes, it was an error that, we accidentally published it early. I'm getting very annoyed with people breaking embargoes. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if, we do run a site, so we understand the way our site is set up. You're able to schedule posts. So it's very hard to accidentally publish something that's not supposed to get published, unless, of course, you don't understand what time the embargo breaks, which you normally get in the actual email when you receive the code. I just think it's a little ridiculous, though, that embargoes still get broken all the time, and it doesn't seem like there's really any action taken against the people that break the embargoes, because we've seen it happen ever since we started doing this stuff years ago. But getting back onto this point about the review being so positive, I mean, Horizon looks like it's a great game. We've said multiple times that this is a game a lot of people are looking forward to. So I don't think that the reviewer is wrong about the character being good. I believe Sony really wants this to be a character that is important to their brand, the way that they have positioned it, the way that you see that a lot of people are doing cosplay of this character. So I believe they want that image out there that this is a great character representing the brand, which is fine. I didn't see the review. So I don't know if they had anything negative to say about the game, but obviously if they had nothing negative to say about it, well, then you have to be, okay, a little bit cautious.
There was basically nothing negative.
Okay, so yeah, so you know, that could be cause for concern because we already know that there is no game that is perfect. Every game has something with it that might be, you might not quite like or might not be quite for everybody. So I don't know about that. Do I think it's paid for? Absolutely not. You know, everyone has their own opinions. They're free to have their own opinion or something. And just like I said that every game has some type of issue, there may be somebody that may completely disagree and they think the game is perfect from start to finish. That's totally fine. But obviously it was a mistake that they made over at Engadet. I'm a little disappointed though, because Engadet this is a pretty well-known establishment. You know, I ain't supposed to be making those kind of mistakes. But obviously we can't talk about it yet because we haven't played it. But I do believe that the game is good. Do I think it's perfect though? Absolutely not. There's gonna be something that I know I personally might not like, but then again, I don't know. We'll have to see how that pans out. But yeah, Max, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm more of like, I don't really know about the whole side of like paying for reviews and things like that. Like I've never really looked into that kind of stuff. Does that ever actually happen? Like, is there like a lot of...
Let me explain it to you, the short version. There's two things about it. There, you have mock reviews, and then there's what people try to call paid reviews. Now, mock reviews are a thing that happens all the time. It's basically allowing the company to get a bunch of just random people where they pay them to try to review a game so they can get a general idea of what might be the actual reviews for other people that are actually working at websites. Those are things where, you know, it gets very gray, and you know, a lot of people look at it as ethically questionable, especially, and it really depends on who's doing the review and stuff. What people usually point the finger at is if, you know, somebody got paid by the company to give generally a positive review, which I don't think happens like that. There are probably instances where, you know, some companies, some publishers have tried to do so, but you got to understand, if that was the case, a lot of people would have called them out on it, and it would have come and been an actual thing. It's really used now as an excuse for people that are online, especially in comment sections and forums, where they don't necessarily agree with what the person had to say and trying to rationalize why they feel that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do believe on some level it happens, but I don't believe it's, you know, all right to assume that every review was paid for. Because I mean, that's happened to us, you know, with a few things we've done. People have claimed that our review was paid for and stuff, where just because we had like a background or whatever, they're saying, oh, this was paid for, but that's not the case. But I do believe on some level it happens, or either that it's influenced, because if you go back to what happened with Jeff Gertzman, you know, they had like a whole sponsorship for Kane and Lynch, and he actually kind of got fired for giving it a bad review. So, I mean, what does that say? That says, oh, you should have gave it a more positive review because those are our sponsors. So I do believe it's influenced sometimes on some level, but I don't believe it happens as much as people say it. You would think it happens, kind of thing.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know like any of that, so that's good to know. Well, yeah, I don't think the thing was paid in the first place. Like Gary was saying, the review is, she doesn't really go into what she likes about the game. Like almost the entire thing, I was like 6 paragraphs in, and I was kind of like, okay, all she's talked about is the character, which is like good, but like no mention of combat or anything really. And then she finally brings it up for like a paragraph. She kind of skims over it. I don't even remember what she says about it. I think she liked it because I skimmed again. There's like nothing negative to be said. And she just really, really, really loved the game. And also I thought it was interesting because she says in the second paragraph that she's never really played open world games, and this is one of her first ones like ever. Like she finally gets it. So I think part of that praise could be genuine, like, wow, this is so cool. Like I've never played a game like this, just because she's not used to open world games. Obviously, I don't know. I haven't played the game. Maybe it is like totally stand out and like ridiculous open world, but I don't know. But I think that that's part of it too, is that she just really loved it.
You know something? I think it's also, we should recognize this point. That review might have not been finished. Now, I know people have been in this position, and myself a couple times, where you're doing a review, you're in progress of it, you're probably typing it up on CMS or anything of the sort, like on WordPress or whatever, and somehow either by your influence or by something else that completely out of your control, it'll get published unintentionally like that. So maybe that was still going through the process, is still going through all the stuff, vetting it, getting the edits and everything else before it actually got published. And again, somehow, whether it was on accident or whatnot, it got published on the website. So you got to recognize that, because those types of things do happen. It's a real thing. It's not them trying to put it out there to get the easy clicks. I think that's a very tired excuse and a tired thing where everybody gravitates towards, especially to any website that's out there. They'll come out and say like, oh, you did this one thing to get ahead of everybody else for the quick clicks and stuff like that. And it's like, no, you have to understand that sometimes, things happen and it's not within the person that's actually making the stuff's control. Something fuzzy will happen, something random, or somebody will just do something without knowing it. And it's just like, okay. And then everybody else has to suffer. Everybody has to take the heat from it, from everybody else on the outside looking in. So I think that's what really probably what happened here. I don't think it was anything malicious. I don't think that Sony paid for the actual review. To me, that's ridiculous. That's a little bit far-fetched. But also, I think that even with that being said, I have to say that I didn't read the review. But from what it sounds like it was still being edited, especially if they didn't really mention a lot of the stuff gameplay-wise, which I really believe is like from a lot of bigger websites, especially even Engadet, they would probably focus on a good element of the gameplay besides the character and stuff.
Yeah, it did definitely have an air of like maybe unfinished. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, it was probably just an accident. Like
yeah. So probably what happened was she was like editing it again, and then like she must have canceled the schedule, and then like it just published or something when she updated it.
Yeah, and then the head editor over there said, you're talking too much about the main character, so no, we need to fix this.
Yeah. Probably just a mistake.
Well, hey, stuff does happen. But I mean, the review will be out in the open, fairly in a couple more hours. So
yeah, we can compare them.
Well, yeah, if you guys still have the images saved, you can definitely compare.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, actually.
But I just want to make sure that I end off the segment by saying, well, I think we've already said it. We're all looking forward to the game. I don't want anybody to look at this podcast and think, oh, we're trying to bash the game. I've already said multiple times, this is a game I'm looking forward to in terms of PlayStation games. The other one is going to be Nier, which is coming out in March.
Some of us have played it. Some of us have played it at different events, either E3 or PSX and stuff. So yeah, we're pretty excited about it.
Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to playing it. Not really sure when I'll have time to play it, because I leave for GDC the day after this comes out, so I probably won't touch this game until the weekend after. But definitely looking forward to it. Looking forward to the reviews, but we'll see how it is. Any final thoughts before we move on to the final topic for this week's show?
Nope.
I'm good.
Okay, here we go. The main topic. And as Gary, and it's funny. I guess maybe we shouldn't bother saying this again, because we say it almost every other episode. But I have to say, I find it very fascinating how Microsoft, there's so much news from Microsoft since this year started. And, if you ever visited the website, you see there's quite a lot of articles, a lot of videos. It's about Xbox, because everyone wants to know what's going on with Scorpio. They want to know what is going on with Microsoft, whether it's good or bad news, whether it's the cancellation of Scalebound, which I did not want to hear, or it's other stuff like what is going on with this. So we found out earlier this week that Microsoft is moving their E3 press conference to Sunday. Now, if you've been following E3 shows every year, normally they have the show on a Monday. Monday morning to be exact. So we would have to wake up at the crack of dawn to go wait in the line to get into that conference. So this time we'll have to wait in the line, but it's going to be in the afternoon time, because the show is supposed to be 2 p.m. Pacific. That's in California time. It's actually going to be around 5 o'clock Eastern. But yes, that show is going to happen on Sunday, and Microsoft has already said that Scorpio will be revealed at this event. No other news yet about what we can expect from this particular show, but I wanted to get you guys' thoughts and opinions first on this topic, because there's other news we need to talk about with Microsoft as well. But first, what do you guys think about Microsoft deciding to have this show on Sunday? And I'll let you go first, Max.
I'm kind of surprised by it, actually. That makes me think that they have more confidence in this console than I originally expected, because they're doing it like they want this to be the first thing everyone sees. You know what I mean? Like they're ballsy enough to be like, yo, this is dope, and we think that it's going to stay on your mind through all of E3. So, and remember, we weren't even sure if it was coming to E3 or not. What was it, a few weeks ago now? Phil Spencer said that he wasn't even sure if it was coming. And now they're just suddenly like, oh, it's coming. And I just recently, right before the show started, saw like a headline that Phil Spencer was saying 2017 is going to be the best year for Xbox, like ever. I'm pretty sure he said that previously, like last year. And I just still don't see it. We've said it a million times on the show, so I won't get into it too much, but we haven't seen anything. I have no idea what they're going to do. You know, like they need games and we don't know what they're going to be. They haven't shown us anything. And hopefully they just have a bunch of stuff up their sleeves and that they're not just like talking out their ass for the rest of the year. We'll find out E3. Like that's the only thing we can do is just wait until E3 unless something big leaks. But yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Mr. Lugo, any thoughts?
One, I called it. I said it for a while that we were going to see it at E3, and I think that was pretty obvious. That was expected and stuff. This is interesting because, like we were talking about earlier in the show, this is the same time or same day when Bethesda is going to go down. Is that Bethesda? I think we were talking about earlier that it's going to be happening later in the day, you know, towards the evening and stuff. So that's going to be interesting. But I'm with Max on it. Like, you know, this is going to be the first thing that we all see at E3, and traditionally, it's kind of been like that for Microsoft every single year, with the exception of the last like year or so, because Bethesda goes on Sunday and stuff. But really, again, this is par for the course as far as like Microsoft's thing, and I think it's still a good approach for them because we're going to see new hardware. People are going to be excited about it, and then we're going to go to E3 afterwards and go see all the other games and such. So new hardware is always an exciting thing at a show like that. So really good business, good smart move by them, in my opinion.
And like moving it on a Sunday, it's like a statement. Because yeah, you're right. They're in that. It normally is the first thing you see at E3, but like that's the thing. They moved it to Sunday. Like why? You know what I mean? Like they did that for a reason. Because they could have just said, "Oh yeah, it's the first thing you see Monday."
Well, I disagree with that though. I think it's probably they moved it to Sunday because, again, this is a different year for E3. Remember, we're going to have the public there now. And I'm pretty sure the public's not going to get in so easily to like a press conference like that, even though there will be to some extent at some point, like we always see every year we go, Rich and stuff. But I think it also have to do something with that.
So you're thinking they don't want the public much. They just want press because it's like hardware?
No, I'm not saying that they don't want the public. I think it's more because, granted, like how it's going to be for the rest of the week and how the public's getting into E3, and there's going to be a lot of stuff happening throughout the entire week. I think having that be not only the conversation for everybody throughout the week, you know, for all the people that are media and all the people that aren't media that go to the show, that'll be the conversation for most of the time there, or at least, you know, hopefully and such. But also I think it's also a volume thing. Maybe the sheer amount of people and such, maybe putting it to Sunday would be a little bit better. Maybe they can have better accommodations and stuff, things like that. I don't think it's necessarily that they don't want people to see it. But I do think with E3 opening up to the public this year, that had something to do with it.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I'm excited.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure Gary has something to say. Let me just make a quick comment. I know there was a couple comments that were said as soon as this news happened. I personally think it's a good decision to have it on Sunday. I mean, I do agree and understand the accommodations that you guys just mentioned, but also the simple fact that, you know, normally every time that there's an E3, you know, Microsoft has this show in the morning time, and then by that nighttime, everybody is at the Sony conference. And it's fresh in their mind, everything that we saw with Sony, because it's later on that night. I'm not saying people forget about Microsoft. Some people do, depending on what they have, but Sony has the last word. Sony will again have the last word this year, but with the whole decision to have the Xbox conference a day before, yes, shows you that, you know, what Scorpio and all this other stuff, you will remember that information most that day. You know, and I know people talk about, well, you know, Bethesda's the same night. Yeah, Bethesda is the same night, but the news that is going to be talked about the most on Sunday is going to be that Xbox conference, because it's a new hardware device. And then, of course, if there's any other games they show off there, we'll see that also. So I think it's a good decision, you know, because if Sony was to have their show on the same day, that may be overkill with information. There's so much stuff, you know. And, you know, I know EA has a show that they have that actually takes place on Saturday. It's a couple of days, but the actual conference is on Saturday, and then you have Microsoft, and then you have Bethesda the same day. But again, I think because it's new hardware, that's going to get the most attention for that particular day. So I think it's a good decision. So, hey, what can I say? Yeah, like you said, Max, we don't know what to expect, but I do expect greatness. Since you know, Phil, they're very confident in the console. I know that you know, he had an interview at the Halo 2 event recently, and they kept mentioning that this is the year where they're going to have more games than they had last year. Right now, I don't see that, because all I see is Halo Wars 2. All these other games that are supposed to be coming out this year, there's no release date, so I don't know about any of all that other stuff. But I do know that when he said that, there was another game they asked him about, which game are you looking forward to shipping most this year, and he wouldn't say it, as if to hold back that there's some surprises that are going to get mentioned at the show. So I'm excited to find out what that game is. I know it can't be Sea of Thieves, because I don't know about Sea of Thieves. I'm not going to talk about that. I haven't played it yet, but I'm not sold on that game yet.
Could be Phantom Dust. Could be Phantom Dust if that's a thing still at one point.
It could
also, they did say that there's only one new IP coming this year, correct? I'm pretty sure Phil Spencer said that there's just one.
That's Sea of Thieves, more than likely.
No, he said this like recently. Like, he just said a new IP. So I have to imagine it's another one in addition to that. I really hope so.
Did he clarify if it was announced or not? Because the new IP is Sea of Thieves. That's a new IP from Rare.
I'm gonna look into that. I'm pretty sure he said it was unannounced, though, because I'm pretty sure Sea of Thieves was mentioned in the tweet. I'm going to check.
Well, I know he said that there's something else coming that they haven't really mentioned yet. They said it's going to be some surprises. So I would hope that is, if it's Sea of Thieves, I'm going to be highly disappointed if that's what he meant when he says that's Sea of Thieves. I'm going to be very disappointed. And I'm not trying to say Sea of Thieves is not a good game. I haven't played it. But when I look at that game and you're telling me that this is a major game that everyone is going to want to play, I just don't see it. That game, you know, Rare is a good company. Granted, it's not the same Rare that it was before, but I'm not sold on it yet. When I look at that game and I look at a game like Ukulele, I'm more sold on Ukulele than this game. So,
also, yeah, Ukulele looks actually really dope.
Yeah.
But I found the tweet. It said, so this was on February 6th, and someone tweeted at him saying, "Hey, Phil, are you guys going to make any good exclusives for the Xbox One?" And then he responds, just straight up, and then he responds saying, "I feel very good about this year. Should have more single-player games than last year. Great diversity and launching new IP. Good year."
Yeah, I think he's talking about Sea of Thieves, because that's like super vague. So
yeah,
that's at least my best bet.
And did he also say that this is good for gamers, like he said when they canceled Scalebound, to, you know, really emphasize that point further?
Yeah, really. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I hope that there's another new IP.
yeah, because I mean, I'm not saying Sea of Thieves is bad. I may very well like it once I actually get a chance to try it out, but I think they need more than that. You know, it's Crackdown 3. Yeah, we know that's supposed to be coming if it doesn't get delayed. State of Decay 2, that's another game that he talked about heavily at that event. And they also sent out a tweet saying, "We'll see you all at E3 this past week." So, but I don't really think any of these games, like major like games, everybody's going to want to jump on and play. But we'll see. We'll see. Gary, what are your thoughts on this particular news?
Well, my first initial thought is at least we'll have time to get a coffee before that conference starts. Because
You get more than a coffee this time. Yeah, I mean, you could get a whole breakfast.
oh yeah,
I mean,
we're
seriously.
definitely hitting up Denny's first.
Oh, we're going to Denny's. This happening again.
Yeah, man. But yeah, my second thought is also like I'm just trying to think what Sony will scrape together to rebuttal this conference, because like they're gonna have a harder time, I think, because I mean, throughout that Monday, there's probably going to be a lot of new news and information coming out all throughout the day on the Scorpio, because that's how it is with these press conferences. Like, you know, they sell you the pitch at the press conference, but then afterwards is when you really get the meat and potatoes. Like, you start to get a lot of the real information behind, you know, the hardware or the games or what have you, whatever they introduce. So yeah, Sony's going to have a tough fight still. I know a lot of people are thinking this probably works in Sony's favor, because, you know, then they can come with their rebuttal and it gives them more time to prepare and stuff, I guess. And to some level, yeah, that's right. But this is, you know, an entire hardware system, and Sony has just put one out. You know, we know what the PS4 Pro is already, and we know what the PSVR is, because you can buy them right now, you know. But the Scorpio, we don't know what it is, and it's going to be the first time we see it. And unless Microsoft just completely messes up, like, you know, messes the whole thing up, like with that first Xbox One conference they had or whatever, then, you know, I don't see what Sony can show that will kind of have the spotlight on them as much as Microsoft, because, you know, they're introducing a completely new system. And we're already starting to talk about it, you know, frequently. Like every week, there's like new information or a new news topic or whatever. So the anticipation is there. So yeah, I think Scorpio is pretty much going to be the talk of the town at E3. And, you know, if Microsoft actually going to have the system on the show floor, that's going to be an incredible thing for them as well, I think, because you're going to have the public, you know, who are going to actually get to see the system, maybe even play it, who knows. So yeah, it's going to be pretty incredible.
I'd like to make a real quick comment. Now, of course, it is too early to really talk about E3, but I will say this to the comment you said about Sony, that they will have to come up with a rebuttal. I think that there are a couple things that they can do that will definitely keep the attention on them. You know, we still haven't got a release date for God of War. We haven't got a release date for Spider-Man. We haven't gotten any more information about The Last of Us 2. We don't know what Sucker Punch's new IP is. I mean, they have a lot of other games that they haven't even announced yet. So I think Sony could still be the talk of the town as well the following night, based off of whatever it is that they have to talk, because they have a lot of games that they said they haven't really announced yet. And we still don't have any release dates for some of these other games. So I think, yeah, they'll get a lot of attention. But yeah, no doubt about it, Microsoft will have a lot of attention that day. I don't know how further that will extend out, because again, we don't know all the details. I would assume the system will be on the floor in some capacity, but I'm not 100% sure about that yet.
That'll be bold. That'll be real bold if they actually got it there to show, and then you could see it at E3 like that. I don't think they maybe have it like that, to be honest.
Yeah,
with you.
yeah, because I mean, if the system is coming out holiday, they have to be in the mindset to mass produce now, so they may not be able to.
We would have heard about that at that point from some other company already saying that they're making something. I felt like that would have leaked at some point if that was the case. So I think it's further out than what we think.
That's true. That's true. Man, we just have to wait and see how that pans out. But one final thing I was going to bring up is that I also know that we have to address this again, I guess, because this just happened a few days ago at that same Halo Wars 2 event, where Phil Spencer said, you know, when asked about, you know, Microsoft's commitment to gaming on PC, he did mention that, you know, well, there will be games that come to PC and there will be some games that come just to Xbox. So a lot of people think that, you know, because they have the Xbox Play Anywhere initiative, now they are a little bit confused by what he said. So I wanted to get you, if you guys had any initial thoughts on this particular topic, because I guess some people are saying Microsoft backtracked, but to me, I mean, we don't know any information yet. We just know what Phil Spencer said. So I would like to give this guy the benefit of the doubt to see what exactly he meant when he said that, rather than just say, yeah, so they're backtracking.
My bad. I had to talk to someone real quick. But what was the question?
It's about the Xbox Play Anywhere. Yeah, what Phil Spencer said about there'll be PC exclusives and then there'll be Xbox exclusives. I just was asking you guys if you had any thoughts on that particular subject.
Yeah, like it's a very confusing message now to say that, because they made such a big deal about the Play Anywhere thing, and now they're saying that there'll be exclusives on both sides. Now, I mean, this is already kind of true, because we know, like, Halo, the last Halo that came out, it's not on, you can't get it on the PC. So it is already true to an extent, but like what he means by that now, like, I mean, I really don't know. So is he saying that there's going to be exclusives on the Windows store for just PC? I mean, I guess that would make sense for them, because they are trying to compete with Steam and stuff. So it would make sense for them in the long term to offer unique and original PC games to those people. But then on the Xbox side, it kind of goes against that Play Anywhere thing with their exclusives, because the whole pitch was anything that's an Xbox exclusive, like by Microsoft Studios or whatever, you'll be able to play it across all platforms. So I mean, that would kind of then start to go against that message a little bit. So it's very it confuses the message entirely of what they pitched to us before, I think.
Yeah, I was actually about to bring that up. They came out and said that all future first-party Xbox One titles will be coming to both. Did they not? And now they're going back on that. And it's weird, because we all thought, like, there were people who were like, no, Halo isn't going to come. Maybe everything else will, but Halo won't. But then they released Halo 5 Forge on PC for free. Like, it's just like the map making mode, and you could do custom games. But like, you could do that right now on PC for free. And like, almost without a doubt, like, that's because we thought Halo 6 was going to be coming, and that was them kind of testing it, testing, like, porting Halo on there and how it would work, because why else would they do that? But now that they're saying this, it's kind of like, all right, what is coming? Like, why are you even making these statements? Like, you're making the Xbox Play Anywhere thing seem kind of useless, because people don't care for it that much right now in the first place. And you were trying to force it on all of us, and now people are just confused on it, and they're just going to get annoyed with it and just be turned off by the idea in general. And I don't know, I just don't get it. I don't get why they're doing this.
Well, hey, I don't either. I'm going with the assumption that we will get some answers, obviously E3, but I don't know what this whole back and forth with I don't know what he said. I don't know if maybe Phil had a couple too many drinks when they had that interview and he just started saying random stuff. I don't know.
You know what it is? Like, I think it's just like, because I mean, there are people like me, for instance, who, because I have a gaming PC, like, there's people like me who are legitimately like, okay, I don't need an Xbox One anymore. So I guess now they just kind of want to, like, they see that, there's people out there who are not buying Xboxes now because, they have gaming PCs and they can just play a lot of the exclusives on there. So I guess they're looking at that and, they're thinking, okay, we have the Scorpio coming. We need to give people, more of a reason to buy this system now. So we're going to have games that you can't get on PC, because we want those people to buy this system.
Well, but you know what the problem with that is? If that's what they are looking at, that shows a lack of planning, understanding. They had to know there was going to be some type of reaction when you announced this program. So if they didn't have the foresight to think that some people would be like, oh, well, I don't need to get the Xbox now, when that's just, once again, with the topic of people being dumb, this whole episode, if that is what they thought, I don't know what I just don't get it. But we don't really know. So we just have to wait and see, I guess, what he meant when he said that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if that is the case, that's definitely something they should have foreseen would happen.
Yeah, because I mean, just to be fair, the games that were on Xbox Play Anywhere, there's only really two that I know that were good. That was Forza and Gears of War 4. I believe Recore, which was Max's his most favorite game from 2016. You know, I know that game. I'm pretty sure that had some issues on PC. I'm just making a guess though.
Resident Evil 7 too, even though that's not first party, that was another one of the big ones.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Absolutely correct. But we'll see. Mr. Lugo, any final thoughts on this topic before we wrap up?
No, I think we're good. I think we covered it good.
Okay. So once again, we'll have to see what Microsoft has in store for us. Looking forward to E3, seeing what they have to show us, but we'll hold all our other initial thoughts until we actually hear more news or until we actually, when we go to the actual event. So we'll see. But I believe that pretty much, unless you guys had any other things you wanted to mention, I believe that does wrap. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick before we go to shout outs and everything, I really just wanted to point out the new Mass Effect video that came out, because Richard sent this to me.
Yes.
Like he told me about this, and I went to watch it and I was like, wow, like this game looks, it does look incredible. Now I don't want to get my hopes up too much, because you know, we're used to being disappointed now, like when, you know, big games come out and stuff and they're not what we thought it would be, kind of thing. So I don't want to get too hyped up, but like the gameplay in that video does look amazing. Like it does look outstanding, and I can't wait to play Mass Effect Andromeda now. Did anyone else see it?
No, there's a new video. I didn't know this. What is it?
It's the first time I'm hearing of it. Yeah.
So wait a second, you guys didn't see it? This is the combat video, compact gameplay video.
No, I didn't get a chance to see it yet.
Wow.
It's actually on the site now as well. But I just wanted to say, yeah, when I did see that video, you know, instantly I was like, you know, I said many times, you know, there's other games coming out next month. You know, Nier is probably going to be an honorable mention. I'm not going to mention Zelda because I'm not buying a Switch, and no, I'm not playing the Wii U version, so that is going to get skipped over. But I have respect for the Nintendo fans. I'm just making that clear. But when I saw that trailer, that Mass Effect trailer, I said, oh, without a doubt, this is not only going to be one of the biggest games next month, but in my personal opinion, it's one of the best looking games also coming out next month, because all of that stuff they showed in that video, the graphics, the action, the gameplay, it looked fantastic.
Yeah, the animations, man, are amazing.
Yeah, the animations, and it's really fast combat, a lot faster than it was in the other games. So I'm very excited for this game now. Obviously, the video, they didn't really dive into everything that you can do. It was only meant to give you a preview, and they're going to have other videos because it's a series of videos they're going to be releasing. But that trailer looked fantastic. So
yeah, what stands out to me is like where you can the throw ability, which is like a biotics ability. Like you can get the dead bodies, like you can pick up the dead bodies and the canisters and stuff like that and literally throw them at like the enemy and stuff. Stuff like that is amazing.
Yeah, hey, listen, you know, I know, like you said, Gary, you know, you have to be cautious about certain things because you don't really know how the story is going to pan out. You don't really know how everything else will come together. But I don't know, man. At least I could say that I'm confident that this game just won't be complete garbage. I mean, there's some things that look really, really great about it. There's a lot of stuff that's still up in the air. We know a lot of stuff that won't be returning, but we do have to give them the benefit of the doubt to really understand what it is that they actually are going to do with this game. So obviously we'll hold final impressions on the game until next month, but what I see so far from that video looks awesome. So I have very, very positive thoughts about this game. We'll see whether or not that ends up being correct. But no, any final things to say before we wrap up the show?
I'm good.
Okay, so we thank you all for checking out this week's episode of the Co-op Podcast. We're going to have our final shout outs at this time. Max, any final shout outs you would like to give?
Yeah, as always, great to be back on the show. Happy after I had to miss last week's. And thanks again, everyone, for participating in the chat and commenting on all of our thoughts and everything like that and sharing your thoughts. It's always great to see, and I love participating in that with you guys. And I will see you guys next week.
Awesome. How about you, Mr. Lugo? Any final shout outs?
Muted. Oh, he's not there.
No, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, it's just like my browser froze for a second. Just like, what the hell? So yeah, just thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to everybody watching this, whether it's now live during the live show or later on the YouTube channel. We really appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your patronage. Obviously, big thank you and big shout outs to the patrons out there that are supporting us on Patreon. We'll keep bringing you guys some great content. Eventually, very soon, we're going to be bringing you some more exclusive content on the Patreon. So stand by for that. Eventually, we're going to have some more stuff down the line. Be on the lookout for new reviews later this week. Hopefully, new reviews later in the month, as well as also we got PAX right around the corner. So we're going to bring you guys a bunch of coverage from PAX East. It's coming up in a couple weeks. I'm looking forward to it. Max is going to be there. I'm going to be there. Rich, you're going to. A whole bunch of us are going to be out there. So that's going to be fun. Hopefully we see some good games. We hopefully see some good stuff to share with all of you guys. We'll probably, more than likely, if with any luck, we'll probably do it like we did last time. Like when we were at E3, we'll probably stream straight from there, depending on what goes down. But it should be fun. So a lot of good stuff to look forward to, guys. Be on the lookout for more info as we get closer to it. So besides that, enjoy your day, chill out, have some fun, grab some wine, grab some coffee, do something, just something enjoyable. We had too much negativity on this podcast today. We got so low to the point that we were talking about PewDiePie, we're talking about leaks. Everybody's mad about Nintendo DLC. We're all too mad lately. So we need some good stuff. So go grab yourself some ice cream.
True.
Absolutely. And I'm going to do the shout outs real quick, and then I'm going to let you do yours, Gary. I just want to give a shout out to all the people that have continued to watch the shows or listen to the shows. We appreciate the support. Shout out to the Patreon subscribers for continuing to support us. We do have quite a bit of things coming. As I already mentioned, I have a Halo Wars 2 review that I will be posting tomorrow. I also have a Sniper Elite 4 review for those of you that haven't checked out the game yet. Definitely check out my review because I enjoyed the game. Definitely something you should pick up in the not too distant future. But thank you all for your continued support. And Gary, I'm gonna let you give the shout outs, your final shout outs.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say shouts to Miguel in the chat. Thanks for the praise, and I'm glad you enjoyed the show. And of course, I want to shout out all of our Patreon supporters. That's M. Collins, Sean Gority, Michael Hatcher, Stephen Ferron, Mauricio Aguilar, Himdil, Fergus Mills, Lelwyn Leslie, Nicholas Alvarez, and Nick Biazzo. Thanks for your support, everyone. And shouts to all the listeners or the people who joined us in the chat this week. And I'm definitely going to go get some wine because that sounds good right now. Like JJ suggested, I'm going to go.
Me and you should have some. I'm celebrating an anniversary, so I got an excuse. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Anniversary. I didn't know you were married.
I got technically an anniversary has happened for me today as far as like a work anniversary. Not that type of anniversary. No.
Oh, okay.
I ain't got no like that, but I'm celebrating a work anniversary, so that's my excuse.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm going to go raid the cupboards and see what I can find.
Raid the cupboards. Yeah, okay. All right, so also want to give a quick little shout out to I'm Negan. I'm very surprised that we had a Walking Dead alum show up and comment on our show. I hope we did a good job because I don't want to get my brains bashed in. So that's it for this week. We'll talk to you all next week.